Good and the very best morning to everyone. Myself, Sanjay
Good morning.
Kinawar, current president of Cosma, also director in Aero Electricals India Private Limited, Mumbai-based switchboard manufacturer. Indeed, it is great privilege for me to extend on behalf of Cosma board warm welcome with open arms to all participants for coming to our today's Zoom NAR session. Well, today's subject is on new way to look at control panel business. Today's speaker is our best in class, very much our own director of Cosma and head of load controls, Modutech, money sales at Bangalore. About load controls, everybody is aware. With this customary welcome address, I now go with folded hands before you all with huge thanks from the core of my heart. Lastly, big thanks to all Cosma committee and board members who are working very hard to make this meeting happen. Special thanks to Kaji sir and all participating senior people and members of Cosma for giving motivation and inspiration and encouragement to all of us at Cosma. Now I request Ramani sir to give brief introduction and take the matter forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev Bhai, and very happy to be part of this sharing session as what I would like this to be looked at. Anand often comes up with the question about how switchboard manufacturers should handle their business. How do they sort of go through all the ups and downs of a switchboard business, and how do they come out unscathed? So this sort of takes me back to the days when I started switchboard business. And it's like everyone, I also started in the conventional switchboard manufacturing in a 1,000 square feet shed with conventional machines in painting in those days. And slowly and steadily, as we progressed, I like all of us came across a lot of problems. There would be times when we are flooded with orders. There would be times when there's hardly any orders out there for the factory to be loaded. And when I recall those days, I remember how in those we had the telephone index, and we had to turn the telephone index and then call all our known customers as well as potential customers to find out as to whether we could be of service to them, whether there's any requirement which we could handle. And then when we are overloaded with orders, there would be a hue and cry in terms of how are we going to meet the deadline. And this kind of a crisis went on and on. And so I sort of, over a period of time, started sitting with myself and thinking as to how I should be having a smooth flow in terms of what we are doing as a switchboard manufacturer. And then when I looked out, I saw that, in our own Bangalore, we had a company called VV Controls. And VV Controls is known for his closeness to three companies. One was Triveni, the other was BFL, and he had selected a few clientele, and he would do a good job, and he was growing in a steady pace. Then I realized that it's number one, it's very important to be close to the customer, and that is what will give us a certain steadiness in the business. And then I saw another panel builder in Bangalore called Power Control Equipments. And today, he is closing in or having crossed, I do not know, 100 crores in turnover. He's been one of the role models in the industry in Bangalore. And what I realized from him was that he was having, again, a specific set of customers, which was the DG Sync and DG AMF panel manufacturers. And he would manufacture these AMF panels in huge quantities and sell it at a price which is very, very attractive. And his closest customer was Jimco. And Jimco in those days, like whatever Jimco wanted, he would go out there and serve them. Jimco wants labor force to be coming into their business to handle a particular problem. He would serve them with that. Jimco wanted the base channel which goes, or the engine and alternator gets seated on, he would see how to support them on that. So I was trying to analyze what is it that these successful panel builders are doing, which I also need to be looking at and I also need to be doing. And then I saw that there was this, there were specialist companies in APFC panels, and they would, like for example, Neptune Enterprises in Delhi, and he would manufacture the regular panels, but then when it comes to APFC, even there is one PMX, Sony Jacob in Mumbai, and he again developed a very specific specialization in the APFC panel. So I would look at him and say, is that the solution? Is that the direction I should be looking at? And then in Chennai, there was this Formoplastic, my good friend Ganesh. When I look at him, it's a business which his father had started. And they would be specialists in sugar industry. So sugar industry, wherever it is in the world, he has even supplied to Bangladesh and Africa and other places. Formoplastic would be the most preferred brand. And when I looked at myself, I was, on the other hand, more of a generalist. I started business by selling MCBs and distribution boards. So naturally, I was closer to the builders in Bangalore, and whichever builder wanted switchboards, I would go and serve them. And then if there was an industry customer coming in here, I would serve them. If there is a electrical contracting company coming, I would serve them. And I would find that there is something wrong. Things are not going in the pace and rhythm in which I would like my business to go in. I was always finding that it is difficult to manage the cash. I would always find that customers would come, place orders, and we would execute the orders, and then they wouldn't lift it. And there was only this much of negotiating strength which you had with the customers and nothing more. Why? Because there were so many other panel builders. If I wasn't prepared to supply to the customer, there would be 3 more panel builders in the queue willing to supply to the customers. And this was really frustrating. There were times when I would really feel that, is this the right business which I am in? And these are the times when I look at seeing, okay, this is a problem. So how do I address this problem? And as I kept looking at other successful panel builders, I realized a few things. One is that we have to be very clear about why we are in this business. If we are not clear about why we are in this business, then this frustration level keeps increasing. What I mean by why we are in this business is, you would say that obviously everybody is in business to make money, but we have to think beyond making money. We have to look at what is it that will sustain us when we are in this business. There is competition, there is a lot of problems, all that is accepted, understood. But in these problems, how do we sustain and go? And that is where we look at what is the higher purpose which our company is working towards. And then when I hear stories about remote villages where electrical power is not available, people are not able to handle a particular machine in their factory because there is a power cut. There are a lot of benefits which electrical power, as we are aware, which offers to mankind. And for some reason or the other, this power is not available at the right place at the right time for the people who want this power. So can we look at ourselves as facilitators? Can we look at ourselves as people who are enabling the benefits of electrical power to be reaching the corners of our country to start with, and then probably we contribute to the world if we get opportunities in that order. So once we look at the business as a business not just to make money, but a business which empowers one to contribute to the other, then you slowly get into a different face of how you look at the problems which you're facing. The second, aspect of how an entrepreneur really looks at his business is that, we have heard several stories about how entrepreneurs identified a problem and then they came out to solve it. They realized that by solving this problem, they are able to really make people benefit out of it, and therefore they slowly build it up as a business. From my own, example, I would say that when I realized that I was, in the times when we were overloaded with orders, I was finding it difficult to execute the orders. I would look at what was my constraint. If you look at the constraints, there are generally about 6 types of constraints which a panel builder faces when he has to serve his customers. The first constraint, of course, is sales. You have to have a regular pipeline, ideally about 2 to 3 months at any given point of time. For quite a number of us, it's quite a pipe dream to have 2 to 3 months of orders in the pipeline. But if we are able to achieve it, then that is the time when proper planning is possible and you're able to take it to the right kind of execution. So considering that sales is not an issue, what are the other 5 issues which come up for a panel builder? Number one is when orders come in excess, he might find that the design resources which he has is limited. Now, this is something which in people like who are in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, there are facilities of hiring design engineers at a pinch, and there are agencies who come and take up the design and do it for you. So generally, that is a bottleneck which can be overcome. Second is that there could be a bottleneck of infrastructure. You may not have sufficient space to handle the kind of orders which come in. Now, we had this problem, in just hardly about 3-4 years back. We got all of a sudden this order of Kia Motors. It was a 35 crore order, and we had to execute it in just 5 months. Now, the infrastructural requirement, what we needed was definitely much more than what our factory was able to offer. So what did I do? I approached vendors and I selected vendors who had very good infrastructure, and it was mostly empty. And I chose them, even if their pricing was a little bit more, subcontracted parts of the job to them so that I could leverage their infrastructure. I'm sure this kind of a facility will be available for most of us in our respective geographies. So that is also something which can be overcome. Then the third, constraint which panel builders could look at is the availability of the bill of material to ensure that the panels go out of the door as quickly as possible. Today, that is also by and large not a problem because you have multiple dealers. If you take Schneider, for example, they have multiple dealers across the country. Not even in the particular city. You take ABB, you take L Measure, you take CTs, PTs, whatever you may require. You have multiple sources of materials available, and you can therefore see how you can manage these and ensure that is not a constraint in the manufacturing process. Then what do you have as a constraint? You have labor, right? You must have sufficient labor for you to execute the job. Now, how do you manage this? Suppose you have 50 laborers. How do you overnight make it 100? So this is again a possibility that we have many agencies available in different cities where they supply contract labor. Then there are piecework gangs who come and work for a particular project and go. So from this angle also, we have seen that there is a possibility for us to overcome these constraints. And then when I looked at enclosures, I found that every time I would give an enclosure order outside to execute, I would find that I have to follow it up quite a bit. I say one thing, they visualize it something else. they do it, and then when it comes, we realize that a particular cutout is required in a particular area, it is not available. We do rework, it makes the whole enclosure look bad. And this is where I realized that there was a calling in my life, that yes, I really appreciate this problem, and if I'm able to solve this problem, then I will be able to not only find a solution to how to scale my business, but I would also probably be able to help other panel builders also benefit from this kind of a modular technology and see how they can solve their problems. And this is what I did, my friends. When I looked at my business, I didn't have the resources for a specialization in capacitor panels. I didn't have a specialization in sugar industry, nor in thermal power plants. So I had to delve into who am I, what is my strength, and what is it that comes naturally to me. When I remember when I went to Singapore in 96, I spent about a week's time trying to understand how the panel builders in Singapore make panels. What is it different, how is it different from what I do it in Bangalore. And when I visited these 18 panel building units over this period of 1 week, I realized that even in Singapore, there was the conventional welded panels, and then there was the semi-modular panels. And then the day I went into this factory, I remember the name also, it's called Quang Liang. And I saw the L steel panel, which was there in his factory. Something triggered in me, something, made me feel drawn towards it. And that's when I came back to Bangalore. I in those days, Google was not there, 96. And I called the Sri Lankan embassy and I said, I want to visit this factory by name L Steel. I believe it is in Sri Lanka. They said, give me 5 minutes. And they promptly called back and gave me the address and phone number of this company. I went over, I spent 4 days in that factory, tried to understand the technology. I wasn't fully satisfied because I could see only the enclosure part of it. I wanted to see how it was getting assembled. So I went to Dubai. I went to the Middle East Electricity exhibition there, where Bingalip had, Bingalip is one of the biggest panel builders in Dubai, and he had exhibited the stall. And then I realized that there was another company called Lockstrop also making modular enclosures, and they had displayed that panel with all the switchgears inside. I said, this is fantastic, but I wanted to see how they manufacture. I even went to Bingalip factory in Dubai, and when I saw the kind of inventory which they were carrying of these modular enclosures, the way they had neatly stacked it up, the feedback which I got from, there was a lady there, who was controlling the entire shop floor, the kind of feedback I got from her in terms of the ease with which they were able to manufacture the panels thanks to the modular enclosures, I took a decision that I have to get into this line. Similarly, I would say that each one of us, each one of you, there's something in you which will click, that this agrees with me very well, and that is the line which I feel that each one of us should pursue, because that is our calling. That is the problem out there which we are best enabled to solve. And the moment we understand what is our calling, and then we get into the business, then we understand the purpose for which we are in the business, and that will help us overcome all these financial problems, all the manpower problems, all the other mundane problems which we will be facing invariably as a businessman, day in and day out. And then when I wanted to really understand what else I should do as a panel builder to avoid getting into the debt trap, as Anand has been vociferously mentioning, that how to ensure that financially we are stable, how to ensure that there is a good cash flow, and how do we ensure that we don't get bottled up because of financial constraints. I had this opportunity to do this program under Rajiv Talreja. It's called the PACE program. And in that, he very beautifully brings out 3 points which as panel builders, as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, we have to always keep in mind and always focus on. So what are these 3 points? The first one he says is, are you looking at what is the strategy of your company? He talks about when you think in terms of strategy, then you have to think in terms of your SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities which are there in the marketplace? And what are the threats which are there? The moment you are able to analyze this, then two things happen. One is you are able to understand what is the product range which you will need to manufacture, which you'll need to associate with in order to best serve the industry. And number two, you will also understand which part of the geography, which part of the market segment is that customer available who is prepared to pay you the maximum value for what you're offering him. So the moment you are able to identify these aspects, then you formulate the strategy of your business accordingly. I just want to share with you that till I met Rajiv Kalreja and his and did the space program, I wasn't really thinking in these ways. I was looking at running the business day to day, and as the problems would emerge, I would be handling them. But one of the things which I started doing in my business was I started qualifying the inquiries. Before that, whatever inquiries would come, I would quote for it. And whoever would call for the negotiation, we would go and handle that negotiation and see what comes out of it. But when I realized that strategy and qualification being a very important part of strategy, today we have it as part of our ERP package. When an inquiry comes, unless it is properly qualified, we don't quote for it. And my question to the sales team during reviews is always, show me the list of inquiries which you have regretted, because that is when I will understand whether the salespeople are oriented in the right direction or not. And these are things which we can learn, and we don't have to wait to have adversity really kick us in the belly. We can learn from people who have already walked this path, who are there to teach us that these are important aspects which we need to be looking at. At the moment we learn and execute, there will be problems nevertheless, but you will be better capable of handling these problems. So this is what I have to say about strategy. The second important aspect what Rajiv would teach us would be that it's very important to have proper systems in place. And when we talk about systems, we talk in terms of software also. We talk in terms of how a repeatable job, what is there, how do we bring it into a systematic way of working. I remember, there were days when we would take up a project order, we would make the engineering drawings, say, for example, an APFC panel or a DG sync panel, a power control center, motor control center. And as we make these drawings, the sad thing was that these drawings would never ever be useful for us for the next job without tremendously working on it. And that is when we started archiving these drawings. We started archiving these drawings in a manner where all the firefighting panels will be archived in a particular way. All the DG sync panels will be archived. All the motor control centers would be archived. So next time we get a inquiry for a firefighting panel, for example, we were able to go into our archived library, pick up the firefighting panel. Probably there will be some changes here and there in motor ratings. We were able to modify that, and whatever work we have done in the past, we were able to use it to a great extent, right? Similarly, the advantage of using an ERP package, where there is a lot of benefits one would get in terms of understanding what is the dashboard of your company, how does it look, and where is the constraint in your business, what needs to be handled first, what is the crying part of your business, so on and so forth, which is something which sort of gets thrown up. And then we also got exposed to not just working on AutoCAD, but looking at probably AutoCAD Electric or ePlan software. And now today we are developing our own software. From the Modutech angle, we are developing a software called ModSim. Now, what this ModSim software will do is that it will allow the customer himself to arrive at the GA drawing on the software. And the moment the GA drawing is ready, it will, or the press of a button, give you the entire mechanical bill of materials which comes out of that particular GA drawing. And once you get the mechanical catalog numbers of all the products which goes into making the enclosure, you're able to arrive at the price, you're able to arrive at the weight. Weight is required when you have to ship the enclosure overseas. You have the rate each, and then you have the amount. Estimation is easily possible, and we are hosting this in the cloud. We are doing this in a 3D platform so that it's much more user friendly, and we are trying to explore the possibility of making this software available free of cost for all our customers. Now, one thing which I came across recently is there's another modular enclosure panel manufacturer called Cubic in Denmark. And I recently heard the webinar which they had, and they've done something marvelous. What they've done is they have tied up this mechanical software with another software called IGE plus XAO. For those of you interested, please make a note of it and Google it. It's a very beautiful software. It's IGE plus XAO. I also realized when I Googled it myself that this software has been, Schneider Electric have invested quite substantially into the software. So today, this software is a Schneider brand. And the beauty of this software is that we are able to integrate the mechanical part of what we are trying to develop and the software of IG plus XAO. And IG plus XAO will also be able to offer you not only the schematics, the control circuit drawings, but it will also be able to offer you the short circuit calculations, the temperaturized calculations. Everything is available. And incidentally, they are headquartered in Bangalore in India. So this is something which I'm very excited about. So all these aspects is what will help a panel builder systematize the way he goes about his working. So we have strategy, and then we have systems which we need to be looking into. And the third most important aspect of how a panel builder should be looking at his business is that you look at the team. Right, people make the business, and it's not just a slogan. It is the fact. All of us know that. And what have we seen during the COVID times? Even our employees, just like entrepreneurs, we have been thinking, how do we handle this problem? How do we manage the business? How do we see that this kind of a shutting down of the factory doesn't affect us? How do we ensure that we continue to pay the salaries to our employees? Some of us have taken decisions of cutting salaries, and when a salary is getting cut for an employee, I'm sure you would be able to appreciate that the employee also starts thinking, okay, you're cutting my salary. I understand you have your problem, but I have to handle my problem. So how do I do that? And then they start looking out. And in the newspaper, it's evident for all of us to see that quite a number of employee movement is taking place post-COVID. And therefore, as entrepreneurs, we will also have to see how do we think differently to retain the right kind of talent in our company. And this is where, Rajiv once again coaches us in terms of 3 C's he talks about. The first C he says is that everybody basically comes to the organization with the intention that they want to give their best to the company. Nobody comes to the company saying that thoda 50% hum kaam karke jayenge. No, they come there with all the intention. Then what happens? From our side, as panel builders, we have to ensure that every individual is given clarity of their role and responsibility. What is the scope of work which they need to be handling at our factory? So this clarity is something which we need to be putting down into a roles and responsibility sheet. And we have to fundamentally write it out in great detail as far as our direct reportees are concerned. For example, I have 7 people reporting to me over 2 companies. So these 7 head of departments whom I have, I ensure that I give a very detailed write-up on what is their role and responsibility and what is the priorities and how I'm going to be rating these key performance indexes. Now, it doesn't stop there. We have to have our regular performance reviews, and it's not something which you do half a year, once in 6 months or once a year. Particularly in some of in the earlier days, I used to do it just before the salary increment. Today it is a kind of a routine. Every week you sit down with your HODs, 1 hour for each HOD per week. Once you focus on that, and it's important how we plan and go for that meeting, because our planning and going for that meeting is very, very critical for the outcomes to come out in the proper way. And then we judge. What do we judge? We judge 2 aspects, which is the other 2 C's. So first C was clarity. The second C is, what is the commitment with which the employee is working in our company? Is it high or low, or is it medium? Similarly, the third C is, what is the competence level with which the employee is working in our company with? Is it high, low, or medium? So all of us would want that our employees are high on commitment and high on competence, right? When I say commitment, I'm talking about their loyalty to the company, their passion for the goal of the organization to be met. And when I say competence, I mean how good they are technically, how close they are to the customer, how much they understand the customer's requirement, and how much they are prepared to meet the customer's requirements. So on the scale of competence and commitment, we then go about rating all our employees. We actually have a quadrant, and then we have scale of 0 to 10 on commitment, 0 to 10 on competence. And when we have somebody above 5 on competence and above 5 on commitment, we call them the stars of the organization. And then there is a person who is low on commitment but high on competence. They are people who are very transactional. They don't have an attachment to the company. So how do you deal with them? You deal with them by understanding what are their personal aspirations. Okay, so every one of us, just like as an entrepreneur, we have our personal aspirations. As an employee, they would also have their personal aspirations. So we need to ask. And earlier days, I wouldn't know that I needed to ask. And nowadays, I do it as often as I can, particularly top down. And once you are able to understand what they want, then you're able to sort of bring out the conversation in terms of what are we in this business for? What does the business want? And then how do we synergize? Now, when you find a person who is high on commitment, but he's low on competence, then how do you handle it? This is where, we have a room in our factory dedicated to training, and we regularly make invite people from various switchgear companies, various panel accessory companies to come and talk to us in terms of their relays. We talk about digitalization of switchboards. We talk about how do you put a QR code on your panel so that the customer doesn't have a problem in terms of understanding what this panel is all about, so on and so forth. So when you handle this clarity, competence, and commitment levels of our employees, by and large, you will be having better control. I mean, beyond this, still there will be problems. But then the fact is that we will all be better equipped to handle these problems. So these are things which I have learned down my journey. And, one of the things which Anand wanted me to specifically talk about is on cash management. These comes under the various disciplines of a panel builder or an entrepreneur for that matter. What are the various disciplines which he will have to build up? There is no easy solution for cash management. There is no easy solution for being able to pay your vendor bills in time. There is a certain amount of discipline and habit which is important. Bangalore about 4 years back, we honored Mr. Sitaram of Micron Electricals from Cosma, and we gave him the Cosma Gaurav Award, if I'm not mistaken. And I still remember his speech. He said that at Micron Electricals and Ellens, which is a switchboard company, they treat vendor payments as statutory payments. It has to go on that particular day. It has to go on that particular day. And till date, Micron and Ellens are known to be good paymasters in the market. Now, what happens when you're a good paymaster? Vendors flock to come and give you the products, and they are also willing to give it to you at a very, very competitive price because it makes sense for them, right? Now, when you talk in terms of cash discipline, there are again 6 areas which one needs to be really focused on. The first and foremost, of course, when you take a purchase order, you have to be prepared to walk off the negotiation table if the payment terms are not win-win. We must always look at business as win-win or no deal. And this is something which I keep talking to my salespeople about. I keep training them in this area of when you go for a negotiation, go with the mental preparation that you're ready to walk off the table. Once you get that into your mind and then you go, you're better equipped in the negotiation. So number one, the payment terms will have to be win-win in whatever is your understanding and definition of win-win. And then you have to ensure that the collection happens accordingly. So the easy way of doing this is by having the debtor statement in an aging analysis. What are the outstanding within 30 days, within 60 days, within 120 days, within 180 days, above 180 days. And as entrepreneurs, we don't have much time, right? So we need to see how to simplify the debtor collection reviews with our team. So I generally start with above 180 days, whatever is there. How are you dealing with this, right? And then we come to 120 to 180 days. And then if time permits, we look into the balance. Otherwise, we tell our sales head, bhai saab dekh lijiye. This is important. Then we go on to the creditor statement in the same way. We look at similar aging analysis of the creditor statement, and then we similarly look at what is above 180 days. And then why is it so? What is the issue? And we deal with that. And then we come down to 120 to 180 days. And then, see to it that you are fair as an employee. You are fair as an entrepreneur. The moment you are fair to your vendors, then automatically vendors will also be fair to you. So this is a very quick system of managing your debtors and your creditors. Similarly, when it comes to inventory also, we will have to have what is a similar kind of an aging analysis. So when you have an aging analysis of the inventory, again, you start with what is above 180 days. And whatever is above 180 days, are you all there? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes,
sir. Please continue.
Yeah, the power went off here, so I was just wondering whether the Wi-Fi also went off. Okay, thanks. So similarly, the inventory also, we look at what is above 180 days, start from there, and then ensure that you arrive at strategy with your materials manager. As an entrepreneur, it is our job to offer the strategy to liquidate to the materials manager, and then you follow up with him. And when you do this week on week, then chances are that his attention will go on to the dead inventory and it gets liquidated. Now, inventory management has another aspect to it as well. It has the aspect of ensuring that whatever panels are manufactured in the shop floor, and after inspection and clearance by the customer, within 7 days, it should go out of the shop floor. If it doesn't go out of the shop floor within 7 days, it has to go out of the shop floor definitely within 30 days. If it doesn't go even within 30 days, then there is no incentive to the salesperson for that particular job. So, some sort of a system we have to bring in that way, because inventory turns is a very important aspect of cash management. If we allow the inventory to stagnate, then it stinks. Like water, when it stagnates, it stinks. So we have to be very clear about these three fundamental aspects of cash management, which is your debtor collection, your creditor payments, and your inventory management, both from a matter of inventory velocity on the shop floor and also from the angle of dead inventory, which is which tends to get accumulated for XYZ reason in our respective stores. Now, there are three more important areas of cash management which I would like to share from how we need to be looking at it. One is we have to constantly look at seeing how to improve the gross profit in our sales. Now, how do you do that? You go behind customers who see more value in what you're doing. For example, I come from a building, I supply to builders. Now, builders themselves are into probably three categories. The first category, let us say, they are apartment builders. Now, for an apartment builder, he is least bothered what happens to the panel after 2 years of handing over the project to the apartment association. So he will be driven only by price when he takes a decision. Second category, you have people who build a commercial complex and then they rent it out. So when you build a commercial complex and rent it out, then the builder is keen that his panel should work for him for decades so that he continuously gets his rent. So his attitude towards the price of what he pays for a switchboard will be completely different. And then you have the third category where they are associated with large projects, maybe an international airport, maybe a metro station, maybe a 7-star hotel, so on and so forth. So these people are also driven not only by their own interest to ensure that there is nothing going to go wrong as far as electrical distribution is concerned, but also the fact that their reputation is involved. So they are likely to be looking at what is the aesthetics in this panel, what is the design criteria in this panel, how does, when my customer comes and sees this panel, does he say that this is a fantastic switchboard? I mean, hey, acha kaam kiya, you've bought it from the right place. So these are again areas where we have to constantly go behind people who appreciate our quality, appreciate our value, and sell to them. Then what happens? The gross profit which you will be able to recover from the sale would be better, and therefore that will add to the bottom line, and therefore your cash flow again improves. And then the fifth aspect of cash flow management, which one will have to look at, is your overhead management. And when you talk in terms of overheads, every aspect of your overhead, it is very difficult for us as entrepreneurs to apply so much of our mind and thought to it on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, the importance of budgets and controls, and we need to have a good financial head in the company who will be able to give you a trend of what was the expenditure for stationery over the last 6 months and what is it over the last 3 months. So, and then what is it this month? So that way we will have to manage mota. What is the trend in each overhead which we are looking at, particularly manpower overhead in our industry is the biggest overhead. So we have to have a good HR manager to ensure that there is a strict discipline in terms of the amount of time which is spent, particularly the, whether it would be, we have to weigh the pros and cons. Is it better to incentivize the workforce to finish the work faster, or without incentives they work, whether to give them overtime, and which is better solution. Our mind has to continuously think in terms of what would be a better way to handle the overheads such that our profitability increases. And the last but not the least is we also have to see how to scale the business. And for me, scaling the business is a kind of a spiritual responsibility. When I started off, I explained to you about the importance of understanding the purpose for which we are in the business. And once we are there in the business to serve our community, to ensure that electrical distribution becomes safe, reliable, and dependable, then it is our spiritual responsibility to scale our business so that more and more people benefit from whatever unique gifts we have been endowed with. So the moment we scale our business, the other beauty which happens is that your purchasing power becomes better, and therefore you're able to purchase it at a better switchgear at a better price, steel at a better price, aluminum at a better price, so on and so forth. So that again adds to your cash flow. So in spite of all these 6 aspects, debtors, creditors, inventory from a dead inventory perspective as well as a flow perspective, gross profit enhancement, overhead management, and top line enhancing. In spite of all these aspects, as a panel builder, as an entrepreneur, there will be times when we will get stuck in business for cash. Now, I come to a psychological aspect of this. Most, if you take a pyramid and you put all manpower in the pyramid, you'll find that the top 5% of the people in this world, I would say, they control 95% of the wealth of this world. And this is a very sad state. I mean, a sad thing from if you look at it from a communistic angle, but from a capitalistic angle, it is they have deserved to have that kind of wealth. But the important thing for us to understand here is that rather than feeling jealous about them, rather than saying, why is this cash problem always being there with me? This why me question, it doesn't help in any way. There are other questions which will help us tremendously. And this is what I have learned from one person by name Michael Beckwith. I've spoken earlier about the mindvalley.com. Mindvalley.com is a site which I would recommend that each one of you visit. There are a lot of experts in the field of growth, of spirituality, of business, of entrepreneurship, all of them who give talks on different aspects. Michael Beckwith says, learn to ask the right questions. And what are the right questions? The right questions, he says, is ask, what do I have to learn from this situation? Deeply think about it. For every problem which we face, there is something that we have to learn from it. He says, look at what is trying to emerge for you in your life and try to contend with that and see what you can make out of that. So these are questions which will really help us. I mean, I remember a time when in my factory there was a flooding which happened. The neighboring one construction came up. They put all concrete into the drain pipe, and the water gushed into my factory. Almost 1.2 crores worth of Schneider switchgear and all so many other switchgear products was underwater. I went there. I still remember that day. I saw that. I didn't speak, but one thing which kept going in my mind was, how do I deal with this? What do I do next? I did not get into any kind of a negative thinking. And we luckily had insurance available. Out of 1.2 crores, which is the value of the products which was underwater, we were able to claim around 80 lakh rupees. But that was a big blow for me. But the way I handled it, I still feel a little, good about the way I thought at that particular point of time, because these kind of calamities, they do happen. And unless we have the presence of mind, we will not be able to even negotiate the deal properly with the insurance people to see what you can salvage out of this. So like this, I'm sure each one of us have our own different set of financial challenges which we have faced at different points of time. And it is in developing this way of thinking and taking the action in a proper way that would really make a difference. I think I'll probably pause at this point and invite all of you to sort of share in what you all have felt about what I've said this far. You have any questions? Probably Mr. Ritesh can also join in with what presentation he has to contribute in this area, and then let's take it forward.
Yeah, thank you, Ramani ji. Thank you. Very good. It is it is a complete dissection of control panel industry in last 1 hour. Now, financially also you have explained really very good. And now, again, same point. We'll continue with Ritesh. Ki still, there are control panel manufacturers who are not that much efficient about the financial strategies, financial planning. So for them, I was suggesting that one more point, they should have one more vertical. They should have one more vertical of product manufacturing, just like you have done in standardized control panel product as a product manufacturing, and how that particular product manufacturing will help out, that profits out of that product manufacturing help out to balance that problems, financial crisis in normal control panel manufacturing. So that was basic thing I was just suggesting. And I am having some, see, Ritesh is here, who has done successfully the same thing. And I really excited to know about from the Ritesh Agarwala. So what exactly is this the concept what you have followed, and what is your story about that particular thing, and what do you think about it? Over to Ritesh sir.
Namaste.
Namaste sir. Namaste.
Namaste.
Please continue.
सबसे पहले तो मैं हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों में बात करूंगा. अच्छा, दूसरी बात ऐसी है कि रमनी सर ने जो बात की, आई थिंक whatever he spoke about was what we have been following for the last 2 years. And I was amazed to the similarity between his thinking and our thinking, that almost on all the points I was able to nod ahead. Yes, we are doing that. Yes, this is something which can be done. So I would like to recap on what sir has said, and हम लोगों को उसके अंदर हम लोगों ने क्या किया है. एक तो सर ने बोला है कि सिस्टम्स बहुत अच्छे, बहुत स्ट्रांग होने चाहिए. वो बात एकदम सही है. सिस्टम्स बहुत स्ट्रांग होने चाहिए, और अगर आपके सिस्टम्स बहुत स्ट्रांग हैं और आप उनको बाईपास नहीं कर रहे हो तो चीजें अच्छी चलेगी. दूसरा, सर ने एक बात की थी डिजाइन लाइब्रेरी की. बिल्कुल सही बात है. हम पिछले 2-3 साल से डिजाइन लाइब्रेरी का काम फॉलो कर रहे हैं.
सर यू आर म्यूटेड. आप जरा म्यूट निकाल दीजिए आपका. Yes sir.
Are you able to
continue.
hear me?
Yes sir.
Yeah.
Please continue.
हाँ, तो डिजाइन लाइब्रेरी जो हमने बनानी शुरू की, तो डिजाइन लाइब्रेरी के वजह से जो हमारा लोड ऑन द डिजाइनर्स हैं वो काफी हद तक कम हो गया. इसमें मैं एक चीज ऐड करूंगा कि आपके पास अगर कोई भी फाइल है, जैसे एक ऑटोकैड फाइल है या फिर एक डॉक फाइल है या फिर कुछ और फाइल है, सो यू कैन ऐड टैग्स टू इट. You can add tags to it in the sense that you can tag that file with multiple tags. तो हमने क्या किया, ऑटोकैड फाइल को हमने मल्टीपल टैग्स देने शुरू कर दिए. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ देयर इज अ IMCC DOL स्टार्टर, तो उसका अगर एक कंट्रोल वायरिंग ड्राइंग है तो हमने उसके अंदर टैग्स देने शुरू किए. IMCC DOL MPCB और भी जो उससे उस ड्राइंग से रिलेटेड जो है वो हमने टैग्स देने शुरू किए. एंड व्हेन वी टाइप दोस टैग्स, तो उसके रेलेवेंट 4 या 5 ड्राइंग्स आ जाती है, उसमें से हम 1 या 2 सेलेक्ट करके उसको यूज कर सकते हैं. The other thing is, which I am also facing a problem in, is employee retainment. As because I am in a very remote area, तो हमारे लिए एम्प्लॉय रिटेनमेंट करना थोड़ा सा एक मुश्किल हो जाता है, क्योंकि वहां पे लोकल बहुत अच्छे एम्प्लॉयज मिलते नहीं हैं, और हम बाहर से अगर किसी को बुलाते हैं तो उसमें फिर क्या रहता है कि जनरली 1-2 साल काम करते हैं, उसके बाद चले जाते हैं. बिकॉज आई एम एट अ वेरी रिमोट एरिया राइट नाउ. तो हमने एक सिस्टम उसके अंदर डिजाइन किया कि हमने एक ट्रेनिंग का सिस्टम उनके लिए बनाया. अब वो ट्रेनिंग का सिस्टम क्या है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर इज अ पर्सन लाइक जो टरेट पंच प्रेस का ऑपरेटर है, ठीक है, तो उसके लिए हमने क्या किया कि भाई तुम कैसे ऑपरेट करते हो उसका
You are again on mute.
You are on mute, Ritesh ji.
Okay now.
Yes.
हेलो,
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Continue.
हाँ, तो हमने उसी से ही उसी को बोला कि आपको कैसे ऑपरेट करना है उस मशीन को, उसको आप ऑपरेट करके दिखाओ, हम उसका वीडियो बनाएंगे। तो हमने उसका वीडियो बनाया और हम वीडियो बनाते वक्त उससे पहले कौन से स्विच को ऑन करना है, फिर कौन से स्विच को ऑन करना है, फिर तुम कैसे इसको ऑपरेट करते हो, कब 25% स्पीड पे रखते हो, कब 50% स्पीड पे रखते हो, एंड वी मेड अ गुड 1 hour वीडियो. And as Ramni sir said that he has a training room, even we have a training room. And if the operator has left and a new operator has come in, so we don't have to, wait for him to have the same kind of experience or he should be able to run the same kind of machine. We can show him the video 8, 10, 12 times, 15 times, and he gets to know about it. So ये जो एम्प्लॉय रिटेनमेंट का जो हमारा प्रॉब्लम था, इसको हमने इस हिसाब से थोड़ा सा किया। दूसरा एक प्रोडक्शन मैनेजमेंट में हमने क्या किया कि वी हैव मेड एन एक्सेल शीट, रादर अ गूगल शीट, वेयर we try to understand that what is the bottleneck of the whole factory. So for me, the bottleneck of the whole factory is the turret punch press. उससे जितना माल निकलेगा हम उतना ही माल बना पाएंगे. So we capped it at 30 to 40 sheets per day, 30 to 40 MS sheets per day, and we calculated कि इसके हिसाब से हम कब कौन सा ऑर्डर ले पाएंगे, हमारा ये महीने का फुल हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, हमारा अगले महीने का कितना फुल हुआ है प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी, और हम उसी हिसाब से फिर आगे काम बढ़ाते हैं. इसमें मैंने एक चीज जो अभी रिसेंटली शुरू की है, सर देखिए हमारे यहाँ पे वेंडर्स भी बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे नहीं हैं, तो दे डोंट हैव टू मच स्टॉक with them, and even if they have stock, they are not ready to give the prices. So we get our material directly from the company instead of getting it from dealers or channel partners. तो उसमें हमारा एक सिस्टम ये रहा है कि जब तक मटेरियल डिस्पैच नहीं होता है तब तक हम उसका फैब्रिकेशन शुरू नहीं करते हैं. हमारी फैक्ट्री में 10 दिनों तक कुछ काम नहीं हो, मेरे को चलेगा, लेकिन जिस दिन हमारा मटेरियल डिस्पैच होगा एक पर्टिकुलर ऑर्डर का, उसी दिन से ही हम उसका फैब्रिकेशन शुरू करेंगे. और हम स्टैगर्ड मैनर में मटेरियल मंगाते हैं. सपोज कोई 1.5 करोड़ का ऑर्डर है, तो हम उनको ऑर्डर जब देंगे तो हम उनको देंगे कि भाई ये उसके अंदर सपोज 16 पैनल है, तो 4-4 पैनल का हम अलग अलग ऑर्डर उनको देंगे कि ये 4 पैनल का पहले भेजो, उसके बाद ये 4 पैनल का भेजो, उसके बाद ये 4 पैनल का भेजो, उस तरीके से करके हम उनको बोलते हैं. तो उसके वजह से क्या है कि हमारे यहाँ पे इन्वेंट्री रोटेशन पिछले कुछ दिनों से थोड़ी अच्छी हो गई है. और जैसे सर ने बोला, एकदम सही चीज बोली कि पैनल एक बार बन जाए उसके बाद में वो रुकना नहीं चाहिए. सर एक समय था जब हम क्रेडिट देते थे, तो क्या होता था कि भाई पैनल कस्टमर के पास में है और पैसा भी हमको नहीं मिला है, तो हम सर पेमेंट कर दीजिए, सर पेमेंट कर दीजिए करते रहते थे. अब हमने क्रेडिट देना बंद ही कर दिया, बिल्कुल जीरो, नो क्रेडिट. आपको अगर पैनल उठाना है तो फाइनल पेमेंट करके ही आपको पैनल उठाना पड़ेगा. या तो आप एलसी खोल दो मेरे लिए एक, या फिर आप एक बैंक गारंटी दे दो, या फिर आप फाइनल पेमेंट करके हमको पैनल उठाओ. तो अब उसमें कई बार क्या प्रॉब्लम होती है कि सामने वाला पैनल नहीं उठाता है. तो जैसे सर ने कहा है कि the salesperson will not get the incentive if the panel has not been lifted for more than 30 days. We have kept it at 45 days, but the process, the policy is absolutely same. The other thing which sir has said is that executive meeting with their top level management on a weekly basis. We also do it in the same manner. We do it on a weekly basis, and we give them scores which are negative scores. अब क्या है सर, हम लोग में से हम इतने बड़े तो हैं नहीं कि हम सब IIT के लोगों को रख पाए या IIM के लोगों को रख पाए. तो उसमें एक जो हमारे साथ में ये रहता है ना कि भाई आपका स्कोर आया 80%, आप और कितना इंप्रूव करोगे. तो उन लोगों के दिमाग में सीधा ये रहता है कि भाई यार 80% तो मेरे को आज तक जिंदगी में नहीं आया, अब कहाँ से आया, इससे ज्यादा क्या इंप्रूव करूंगा मैं. तो हम लोगों ने उनको स्कोर उल्टा देना शुरू किया. योर स्कोर इज -20%. We have an MIS sheet based on which we can give scoring to all the people. सर बहुत इलाबोरेट वे में करते हैं, मैं इतना इलाबोरेट वे में कर नहीं पाता. तो अब वो -20% का उसको 0% पे लेकर के आना है, तो उसके लिए इतनी कोई वो फिर भी सोचता है कैसे करें. सो दिस हैज आल्सो हेल्प्ड अस अ लॉट. द अदर थिंग इज वेंडर पेमेंट. वेंडर पेमेंट के लिए सर ने जैसे कहा, हमने क्या करके रखा हुआ है कि जितने भी वेंडर के जो बिल्स हैं वो हमने सीरियली लेकर के रखे हुए हैं, और जो फीफो में हम लोग पेमेंट करते रहते हैं. हम लोग फीफो में ही पेमेंट करते हैं, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाओ. वो 180 डेज, 150 डेज, 120 डेज वैसा कुछ नहीं है, और हम लोग बिल वाइज पेमेंट करते हैं. तो उसमें एक जो चीज जो हुई है वो ये हुआ है कि जब हम लोग फीफो के अंदर पेमेंट करना शुरू किए, तो थोड़ा थोड़ा पेमेंट सारे वेंडर्स को जाना शुरू हो गया. तो जब ये थोड़ा थोड़ा पेमेंट जाना शुरू हो गया, तो there was a trust which has got built up with the vendors that हाँ ये पेमेंट तो कर ही रहे हैं, पेमेंट तो कर ही रहे हैं. और सर ने एक बहुत अच्छी चीज बोली, that you should be capable, or your salesperson should be capable to regret the order if the terms are not on a win-win situation. It cannot be any other way. अगर आपके we are giving them quality, we are giving them on time, सब कुछ हम उनके हिसाब से कर रहे हैं, हम सिर्फ ये बोलते हैं कि भाई पेमेंट हमारे हिसाब से होए, और उसके अंदर भी अगर विन विन सिचुएशन नहीं हो रहा है, इट इज बेटर टू रिग्रेट द ऑर्डर देन टू एक्सेप्ट द ऑर्डर और बाद में तकलीफ पाओ. उससे तो अच्छा है कि भाई आप रिग्रेट ही कर दो. ओवरहेड्स के बारे में जो सर ने कहा था, हम लोगों ने एक सिस्टम बनाया है कि जितने भी हमारे ओवरहेड कैटेगरीज है, जैसे प्रिंटिंग एंड स्टेशनरी हो गया, या फिर एम्प्लॉय वेलफेयर हो गया, या फिर जो भी है, तो हमने उनका हर महीने हम ये देखते हैं कि उसकी बजटिंग कितनी है, कितना पैसा उसके अंदर, बेस्ड ऑन द एवरेज ऑफ लास्ट 12 months वी हैव बीन एबल टू अराइव दैट इस पर्टिकुलर हेड पे इतना खर्चा होगा. ठीक है, तो हमने वो लिख दिया, और उसके आगे एक्चुअल खर्चा कितना हुआ हम वो लिख देते हैं. तो जिसके अंदर हमारा ओवरहेड्स एंड ऑल द एक्सपेंसेस जो हमारे हुए हैं, जो बजटेड से थोड़े से भी ज्यादा हुए हैं, तो हम सिर्फ उसी पे ध्यान देते हैं. बाकी तो चलो जैसे हो रहा है वैसे हो रहा है, बट हम जो ओवरहेड से जो बजटेड से ज्यादा हो गया, हम सिर्फ उसी पे ध्यान देते हैं. सर ने एक जीपी के बारे में बोला था. जीपी के बारे में भी सर एकदम करेक्ट है. वी हैव टू लुक एट हाउ टू इंक्रीज आवर जीपी. और अगर आपकी जीपी इंक्रीज हो रही है, एंड इफ योर ओवरहेड्स एंड इफ योर इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंसेस आर इन चेक, योर एनपी विल डेफिनेटली गो अप. अब बात आती है स्केलेबिलिटी की, जिसके लिए मेरे को आनंद जी ने बोला था बोलने के लिए. सो व्हाट वी अंडरस्टूड वाज दैट वी एज पैनल बिल्डर्स, आर यू एबल टू हियर मी एवरीबॉडी?
Yeah.
So we as panel builders, what we are doing is that we are doing tailor-made jobs. हमारे पास इंक्वायरी आती है, हम उसके हिसाब से पैनल डिजाइन करते हैं, पैनल डिजाइन करके हम उसको देते हैं. So what we did is that we upgraded ourselves, that along with tailor-made designs, along with tailor-made panels, we will make ready-made panels also. So we started with a product category which is submersible pump starters. See, in Assam, there is no manufacturer for submersible pump starters. या तो वो branded आते हैं या फिर दिल्ली से आते हैं. So we found that void over there, and we started manufacturing submersible pump starters, and by the grace of God and all your blessings, it is doing well as of now. ठीक है. तो secondly, what we did was we we went ahead and we had a manufacturing contract with one of the reputed companies. I would not like to name it right now, for manufacturing Deere branded submersible pump starters. So we will be manufacturing almost 3,000 starters every month for this company starting from May 1st. Thirdly, sir, एक और चीज जो हमने देखी कि by adding little bit of infrastructure, can we manufacture something else also? So हमारे पास में फैब्रिकेशन की पूरी फैसिलिटी है, तो हमने फिर देखा कि हम अगर थोड़ा सा वाइंडिंग मशीन वगैरह ले लें तो हम HT-CTPT भी बना सकते हैं. ट्रांसफार्मर बनाना इज अ डिफरेंट बॉल गेम ऑल टुगेदर, बट HT-CTPT इज अ स्मॉल आइटम. देयर आर वेरी फ्यू प्लेयर्स who make them, and it's a high precision job. So we are just about to start the manufacturing of HT-CTPT. तो सर मेरे दादाजी हमेशा कहा करते थे कि भाई एक कहावत है कि दो नाव पे पैर दे करके नहीं चलना चाहिए. तो वो बात एकदम सही है, लेकिन उसके साथ में वो ये भी बोलते थे कि एक नाव पे चलो और दूसरी नाव को पीछे बांध के रखो, ताकि तुम्हारी पहले नाव में छेद हो जाए तो तुम दूसरी नाव पे तो कम से कम कूद पाओ. तो वही है कि वी हैव टू हैव at least one or two verticals which are different from the regular panel building, which can enhance our cash flow and which can support us in the times when panel building is at a low point. इसका सर एक मैं बहुत अच्छा उदाहरण देना चाहूंगा कि जब हमारे यहाँ पे कोविड फर्स्ट लॉकडाउन हुआ था, तो जो कोविड सेंटर्स बन रहे थे वहां पे बेड्स की बहुत प्रॉब्लम थी. अब सर आप कुछ भी बोल लो, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वी आर फर्स्ट शीट स्टील मैन्युफैक्चरर, शीट स्टील मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, एंड देन वी आर पैनल बिल्डर्स. तो हमें शीट स्टील का तो काम करना ही पड़ता है. उस समय पैनल्स बना नहीं पा रहे थे, तो मेरे को किसी ने अप्रोच किया कि भाई कैन यू मेक हॉस्पिटल बेड्स फॉर अस. आई सेड व्हाई नॉट, लेट्स ट्राई इट. तो उस समय पैनल बिल्डिंग का काम तो था नहीं, तो हमने फिर उस समय 4,000 हॉस्पिटल बेड्स बना करके दिए. So that was also a vertical at that point of time. Rather, I am not pursuing that right now, but हाँ एक समय पे हमने वो भी किया था. So this is what it is कि आप अगर चाहो तो आप verticals create कर सकते हो. और सर मेरा एक मानना है कि नॉन प्राइस लिस्टेड आइटम के अंदर अगर आप घुसते हो तो ही आपको प्रॉफिट है. प्राइस लिस्टेड आइटम के अंदर अगर आप घुसते हो तो उसमें तो सिर्फ प्राइस वॉर ही रह जाता है. तो HT-CTPT समथिंग विच वी आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हमारा हो रहा है, और हम खुद के भी सबमर्सिबल पंप स्टार्टर्स बनाना शुरू किए हैं. So this is how we have made 2 or 3 different verticals apart from the regular panels. और सर एक चीज मैं और भी बोलना चाहूंगा कि stop making regular panels. I will tell everybody in Cosma to stop making regular panels, manufacture only and only TTA panels. हाँ जरूर ऐसा भी होता है कि भाई एक TTA पैनल के साथ में 2 नॉन TTA पैनल का भी ऑर्डर आता है, सो दैट इज ओके. बट एक ऑर्डर के अंदर अगर एक भी TTA पैनल नहीं है, मैं बोलूंगा सर अब उन ऑर्डर्स को लेना बंद कर दीजिए. गिव वैल्यू एडिशन एंड यू विल गेट गुड प्रॉफिट आउट ऑफ इट. सर मैं ये मानता हूं कि 50,000 के 12 ऑर्डर करने से अच्छा है, 50,000 मुनाफे के 12 ऑर्डर करने से अच्छा है 1 लाख मुनाफे के 6 ऑर्डर करिए. आपको मुनाफा उतना ही हो रहा है, आप काम थोड़ा सा कम कर रहे हो और अच्छा काम कर रहे हो. और इसलिए मैं सर बोलना चाहूंगा, रमनी सर, इफ यू आर लिसनिंग, आई एम गिविंग यू अ कॉल टुडे बाय द इवनिंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट द TTA पैनल्स, एंड मैं सबको बोलना चाहूंगा कि प्लीज गेट एसोसिएटेड विथ हिम, और या फिर जिसके साथ भी आप TTA करना चाहो, whoever has not got a TTA thing, please get associated and start manufacturing TTA panels only. This is the way ahead. And आप जो भी मार्केट के अंदर हो, आपका इतना रिलेशनशिप तो है कि आप प्रिस्क्रिप्शन करवा पाओ, आप लोगों को समझा पाओ. अभी तो 8623 खत्म भी हो गया है. इट इज नल एंड वॉइड राइट नाउ. So Farooq ji has said what is a TTA panel. TTA panel is a type tested assembly panels as per IC 61439 part 1 and part 2, which is the new norm in IS also and IEC also. और इसके बारे में मेरे को नहीं लगता है कि I should speak in front of Ramni ji what is TTA panel and so this is how we have done, and this is my short story about it.
Yeah, it is great, sir. Actually, you have nailed the point exactly what I was supposed to, come in front of. See, basically, the point was both of you, Ramni ji and Ritesh, both of you done what you have done is something else which others are not doing, or maybe there are some people who are already doing. That is, you have manufactured a different standardized product, and out of that standardized product, out of that profits, you are supporting your standard control panel business. So that is what I just wanted to promote in this particular session. So there may be some other present over here who can have their opinion about all these things, but I strongly support that each one of the control panel manufacturer should have some different vertical of product manufacturing, having at least 50 to 75% profit range or even 100% profit range to support your control panel passion, which we cannot leave aside. तो ये मेरा बेसिक कंसेप्ट था. तो ये कंसेप्ट आप दोनों ने एकदम परफेक्टली बताया. और एक रितेश सर, और एक जो चीज है आपने बताया नहीं है कि यू हैव गॉट सम वन मोर बिजनेस अबाउट अपना गेस्ट हाउसेस एंड होटलिंग इंडस्ट्री, दैट आल्सो यू आर अर्निंग सम प्रॉफिट्स.
Yes, sir.
That you have to tell us, sir, because that also is supporting your financial part of your business. Just tell something few minutes about it.
Sir, my panel business is 5% of my total business.
Wow.
So you, बताइए
My
sir,
panel business is 5% of my total business. My father started a firm known as Shankar Bearing House in the year 1976. And we have got 17 branches. We are distributors for, you name the brand, we have the brand for bearings as well as belts. And we are channel partners of Siemens since last 45 years now. So this is one trading business which we have. Secondly, we have a resort which has banquet halls as well as rooms and all. So it's a proper resort, and we have made it specifically keeping marriages and weddings in mind. And that business is also doing well. Then there is a small business where we are doing dairy. We have a dairy farm and a dairy plant in Jorhat. So as of now, we are doing almost 500 liters per day of milk. So yeah, these are the 2-3 other things which we do. बट सर मैं अकेला नहीं देखता हूँ, ये मेरे पापा भी साथ में हैं और मेरी वाइफ भी है, तो हम लोग तीनों मिलकर के देखते हैं सर. आप इसका पूरा श्रेय मेरे को नहीं दे सकते.
आप श्रेय का हम लोग बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट आई एम टेलिंग you have got a power to say no to your customer of control panels when that is not a win-win situation as per Ramani sir. हमको जब नो बोलने का पावर कभी आता है कि नो बोलने के बाद हमारे अगर अपने एम्प्लॉइज, हमारे जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल ओवरहेड्स हमारे सामने अगर कुचलने चालू हो गए कि उनका मैं क्या करूं, देन देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम. अगर आप खाली कंट्रोल पैनल बिजनेस के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट हो, देन देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम.
Absolutely, sir.
हाँ, so that is the basic theme of this today's meeting. तो अभी हम लोग बहुत बात किए हैं तीनों लोग. Let us open this. हाँ yes sir. हाँ yes sir.
एक पॉइंट बोलना चाहूंगा सर.
हाँ
सर, जो भी आज के दिन में पैनल बिजनेस में है, मैं इसके अंदर 2 पॉइंट बोलना चाहूंगा. फर्स्टली, टू स्टार्ट अ न्यू वर्टिकल, you have to give time. You have to give time out of your regular business hours. सर, मैं सुबह 4 बजे से लेकर 8 बजे तक काम करता हूँ. That is the time when I actually give time to the other businesses, or that is my thinking time कि मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ. That was the time when I coined, or rather I I came to the conclusion that yes, we have to start other verticals, and we also came to the conclusion that this is the vertical which we want to start. So आपको सर अलग से टाइम निकालना ही पड़ेगा आउट ऑफ योर रेगुलर बिजनेस. यू हैव टू शो कमिटमेंट टुवर्ड्स इट. आप अगर उसकी तरफ कमिटमेंट नहीं दिखाएंगे तो आप नहीं उस पर कर पाओगे. और सर मैं गारंटी के साथ बोल सकता हूं, अगर आप 40 दिन कंटिन्यूअसली 2 घंटे भी निकाल करके दे दिए ना इसके अंदर, सिर्फ सोचने में कि आपके एरिया में ऐसा क्या चीज है, आप खुद भी जानते हो लेकिन आपने कभी उस पर ध्यान नहीं दिया कि आपके एरिया में ऐसा क्या प्रोडक्ट है जो चल सकता है. व्हाट इज द प्रोडक्ट व्हिच इज रिक्वायर्ड इन योर एरिया, और व्हाट इज द मार्केट व्हिच स्टिल हैज स्कोप फॉर मोर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स. तो अगर आप देखोगे तो आपको पक्का ना पक्का समझ में आएगा. बट यू हैव टू गिव टाइम टू दैट.
Anand ji,
हाँ बोलो सब बताइए सज्जन जी.
we have one very senior gentleman from Congruent, that is the DP Goel is there. Whether we'll check whether he has to say something on
yes,
this.
yes, definitely.
And
Now
then
there is
Madhurya
open.
sir is also there.
Yes.
He is also very senior most.
Yes, now this forum is open for discussion
Dev
for
sahab, aap
everybody.
boliye.
Sir, thank you very much for the invitation. I am
Yes.
so glad to be with all of you. And I agree, जो जैसे कहा कि एक वर्टिकल हमें 1 या 2 वर्टिकल और ऐड करने चाहिए. This is the fact of today's situation. Unless we do it, we will not be able to survive. And we have also added certain more things in our vertical, like going in for genset business, which is gas based, because diesels को गवर्नमेंट ने हर तरफ बैन किया है. एनजीटी ने, पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड ने. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि डीजल इंजन को बैन क्यों किया जाता है? व्हाट इज द रीजन ऑफ बैनिंग द डीजल इंजन इन द फैक्ट्री और फॉर एनी एप्लीकेशन? हम जो डीजल इंजन में इंजन यूज करते हैं, इट इज अप्रूव्ड बाय ARAI, Automobile Research Association of India, which is in Pune. Now, unless the engine is approved by ARAI, it cannot be used for any application, either for generator or for any other power. Generator के लिए हम इसमें alternator use करते हैं to produce electricity from mechanical to electrical system. जब same engine हम use करते हैं जो BS4 compliant है from ARAI, same इसके अंदर हम diesel use करते हैं, which is used in the cars and trucks and buses. जब वो चीजें बैन नहीं होती हैं तो हमारा डीजल इंजन फैक्ट्री में बैन क्यों होता है? गवर्नमेंट कहती है ये पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट करता है. मैं कहता हूँ पॉल्यूशन चेक करने के लिए आपके पास पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल सेंटर्स गवर्नमेंट ने हर पेट्रोल पंप पे बनाए हैं, जिससे हमें कार का, ट्रक का, बस का पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल का सर्टिफिकेट मिलता है. व्हाई कांट द गवर्नमेंट मेक ए मोबाइल पॉल्यूशन चेकिंग सेंटर and let that pollution checking center mobile should go to the factories and check the pollution of the generators. अगर वो जनरेटर पोल्यूट करता है तो उसको बैन करिए, अगर पोल्यूट नहीं करता तो उसको बैन क्यों किया जाता है? तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर एक गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से जो ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस जिसको हम कहते हैं, इट इज नॉट ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, इट इज क्रिएटिंग डूइंग बिजनेस. एमएसएमईज की जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम है, हर इंडस्ट्री जो प्रॉब्लम है, पहले ही हमारे पास इतनी सारी समस्याएं होती हैं, उसके बाद अगर ये क्रिएटेड प्रॉब्लम आ जाती हैं विच आर नॉट एक्चुअली द प्रॉब्लम्स. तो दैट वाज माय पॉइंट नंबर 1. माय सेकंड पॉइंट वाज दे इशू ए ब्लैंकेट बैन ऑन द इंडस्ट्रीज रियल एस्टेट, कि रियल एस्टेट का सारा काम 3 महीने के लिए बंद कर दो. बिफोर दिवाली, बिफोर होली ये पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट करता है. रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री में आज के टाइम में क्या चीज पॉल्यूशन करती है? अगर हम देखें तो बेसमेंट से ऊपर के बाद मिट्टी का, डस्ट का कोई काम वहां पर नहीं होता. आरएमसी आता है पिलर्स में.
Well, sir, we are not able to hear you clearly.
Hello,
Your voice is dipped.
is it okay now?
Better.
Okay.
Now it's fine, sir.
रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री को जब ये बैन करते हैं तो उसमें कहते हैं जी ये पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट करता है। रियल एस्टेट में जब हम आरएमसी यूज करते हैं फॉर अवर बीम्स, फॉर अवर पिलर्स, फॉर अवर रूफ कास्टिंग, तो उससे कोई पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट नहीं होता। जब हम फायर फाइटिंग के पाइप उसके अंदर लगाते हैं, प्लम्बिंग का काम करते हैं, सीवरेज का काम करते हैं, कोई पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट नहीं होता। इलेक्ट्रिकल की वायरिंग ले करते हैं, एयर कंडीशनिंग के पाइप ले करते हैं, कोई पॉल्यूशन नहीं होता। इंटीरियर्स करते हैं, कोई पॉल्यूशन नहीं होता। देन व्हाई इशू ए ब्लैंकेट बैन ऑन द इंडस्ट्री, ऑन द रियल एस्टेट? एक रियल एस्टेट के ऊपर ब्लैंकेट बैन लगाने से कम 500 से 1000 इंडस्ट्रीज जो हमारी एमएसएमईज हैं अफेक्ट होती हैं। इट इज नॉट ओनली द पैनल बिल्डर्स, अदर इंडस्ट्रीज आल्सो गेट अफेक्टेड। पॉल्यूशन क्या क्रिएट करता है रियल एस्टेट में? जो सड़क रियल एस्टेट तक जाती है वो सड़क कच्ची पक्की होती है, उस पे जब ट्रक चलता है तो वो पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट करता है। उस सड़क को बनाने की जिम्मेदारी या तो गवर्नमेंट की होती है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की होती है, या रियल एस्टेट डेवलपर की होती है। तो दिस इज सच ए स्मॉल इशू विच कैन बी सॉर्टेड आउट। मेन रोड से इंडस्ट्री की साइट तक, रियल एस्टेट की साइट तक अगर सड़क को हम पक्का कर दें, उससे अगर पॉल्यूशन क्रिएट ना हो, तो आई थिंक दिस प्रॉब्लम कैन बी सॉल्व्ड, and our industries which are suffering very, very badly, they can be relieved of this suffering. This is the question we have taken up with Mr. Piyush Goyal also, with the Minister of MSME also. Perchance I am the co-chair of MSME PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Delhi for MSME cell. So I have been interacting with the government and I have been requesting them to please take realistic view of whatever ban you want to put, please go into the details of it and then ensure that yes, if it is creating a pollution, ban it, no problem. अभी मैं आपको बताता हूँ, पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल डिपार्टमेंट दिल्ली, सॉरी हरियाणा, they have given this authority to BHEL हरिद्वार। BHEL की टीम आती है 5-6 लोगों की, हर इंडस्ट्री में पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल का सैंपल कलेक्ट करती है और उसको रुड़की या हरिद्वार ले जा करके वो टेस्ट करते हैं, सैंपल सील करके यहाँ से लेके जाते हैं। जब सैंपल टेस्ट करने का इक्विपमेंट हमारी फैक्ट्री में लगा हुआ होता है तो हमारे सामने टेस्ट करें, हमको उसका रिजल्ट बता दें। यू विल बी सरप्राइज टू नोट, उनका जो फॉर्म है उसके अंदर 31 अनेक्शर्स हैं एंड ईच अनेक्शर इज मोर देन 1 to 2 pages and the kind of information they are asking as if we are constructing a chemical industry or a petrochemical project we are making in a factory. मुझे समझ नहीं आता कि उस पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल का क्या मीनिंग है, जिसमें वो कहते हैं कितना पानी आपने जमीन से निकाला, कितना आपने सप्लाई से लिया, कितना पानी आपके टैंक में यूज हुआ, उसमें आपने कितना उसको वेस्ट किया। I don't know what kind of and what do they get out of this information. So this is creating hurdles on the way of the industries to survive. If you want, I can send you that format of what pollution control department has given to the factory. I told them point blank that I am unable to fill up this format. 31 पेज के annexures एक सिंपल पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल के लिए, कार के लिए आप 10 मिनट में पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल सेंटर से सर्टिफिकेट इशू हो जाता है, काम खत्म हो जाता है। मैंने क्या गुनाह कर दिया अपनी फैक्ट्री में, जो मैंने 7 टैंक और 9 टैंक प्रोसेस लगा करके और ईटीपी प्लांट लगा करके। एक चीज मैं आपको और बताऊं, ईटीपी प्लांट से सॉल्यूशन चेक किया, सॉल्यूशन इज ओके, बट इट हैड सर्टेन सस्पेंडेड आर्टिकल्स। उसका शायद फिल्टर चोक हो गया था, फिल्टर ठीक नहीं था, 60,000 रुपए खर्च करके फिल्टर चेंज करा दिया हमने। नाउ इट इज एज क्लियर एज आई कैन से गंगा वाटर and still the sample has been taken from here and taken to Roorkee. What will happen I don't know, but suspended particle अगर सीवेज पाइप में जाते हैं और उसकी chemical analysis perfectly okay, what difference it makes? Why should they put a penalty on this? So these are some of the points. If you want, I can send you the letter which I have written to Mr. Piyush Goyal. I can send you a copy. It has got 4, 5, 6 points which are very, very valid. The other day I was in Parliament House, next building with the 3 of the, this was a meeting for why MSMEs are unable to do a good export. So my topic of discussion there was that, do you allow us to work in the industry? Do you give us the raw material at the control price? Do you allow my workers to work and operate in my industry? Do you give me the passes to go to my industry and come back from there? Because Delhi has seen in NCR, we had 16, 17 months Shaheen Bagh demonstration. Then we had the Kisan Andolan for another 13, 14 months. So due to Kisan Andolan, the Kundli industrial area was totally choked. No entry of trucks to the factory, no exit of the trucks for 14 months. अगर 14 महीने में आप ट्रक की एंट्री बैन कर दोगे मेरी फैक्ट्री में आने के लिए, तो what kind of export are you expecting from us? And this was not only in Kundli, this was all around Delhi. So Delhi was choked from all the four corners by these so-called Kisan Andolan people. So some of the difficulties are really which can be simply, removed. Only thing is we have to have the proper thinking that yes, we have to make the industry survive rather than to make the industry close. So हमारा attitude अगर change हो जाता है, तो probably we will be in a better position to serve the nation.
Really, sir, what your all the points are completely noted, and we are definitely going to follow up with you about all these points, and we may have some different total lecture or seminar on this point, so that these problems will be focused.
Yes.
हाँ, yeah. Thank you.
गोयल साहब मैं आपको इसी वीक में कभी मिलूंगा.
हाँ.
Some of the points you have raised pertains to whole of NCR and all. I fully agree with you, because on that point also I know what is happening. Because a lot of industries are affected for 3 months or so without any fault, and NGT and all construction activities blocked and all and everything.
सर मैं गवर्नमेंट को कहता हूँ बार-बार कि allow us to work. हमें आपसे कोई ग्रांट नहीं चाहिए, कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं चाहिए, कोई सब्सिडी नहीं चाहिए. Allow us to work.
Yes, great, sir. So now, हाँ बोले sir. अच्छा, one more thing. Actually, we are running out of time. So coming back to our original discussion about paralleling the businesses or operating with the different verticals in the business.
आनंद जी इसके बारे में मैं 2 मिनट के लिए बोलूं क्या?
हाँ बोलो ना सर, बताइए ना सर.
ऐसे मैं एक्चुअली क्योंकि I am not from the panel line but supplying to panel industries as a whole. So my view is from the outside.
Yes.
तो मेरा जो अपना opinion है वो ये है कि number 1, all panel builders should actually, मैं बहुत panel builders से यही बात करता हूँ कि why don't you look at the exports and all? Maybe not to USA or Europe and all, at least to all other countries, about 100 countries world over, like African countries and all. And we are fully equipped. I know that, because we ourselves are exporting to about 80 countries in the world. I've started exporting in 1982 onwards. About 65% is exports and all. Then that is number 1. Actually, all panel builders should focus on exports. If not today, make it 2 years, 3 years and all down the line. India has the capability to export panels. That nobody is understanding. We are fighting among ourselves in India, maybe about 1,000 different projects or 2,000 different projects. Why not to get it to 80 different countries or 100 different countries? Leave aside advanced countries and all. Why not below the line? That is number 1. As far as exports is concerned. Number 2, as I see during this period, last 1 year or 2, we have got export growth of about 50. We have got a growth of about 52% this year during Corona times and all. But most of our growth in India, I'm simply talking about India, is from solar panel line and EV charging stations line. All panel builders, I think, have the capacity to do it. Why Schneider or Fimer or ABB are doing, or Siemens is doing that? We are supplying a lot of products to them. Why not you people start making, if not alone, maybe 2-3 panel builders join together and open a EV charging facility or something like that, or a solar panel line. India has a lot of capacity in solar panel. Now I hand over to you, Anandji.
Yeah, now actually we are,
it's a long.
yes. So
this
we are come out with lot many other subjects also. But
Huh.
today's subject is about financial stability of the control panel manufacturers by paralleling the verticals. So now this subject, I think we should have one more seminar. And but for today I think we should end with this particular session. Is there anybody wanted to talk about parallel verticals, or should we end the meeting? No, I think nobody is there. So I hand over this mic to Mr. Sudhir. Mr. Sudhir? Yeah, Sudhir, please.
Sir, excuse me,
Yes,
Anand
sir.
ji.
Yes, please.
So my name is Shaiju. I'm from Kerala. My company name is Ringless Electro Controls.
Yes.
So I just want to know, like this recent material price hike. You all may be experiencing this. Like, I just want to know a generic way, like what exactly would be the reason? Is it the war, or is it something like a black market thing these vendors are doing? So what is your opinion, sir?
No, actually,
Because the metal price.
No, actually, it is not like that. There is a shortage of material of steel in out of India due to this Ukraine and Russia war, and the steel market is getting 75% more price in exports. So that is why I think the price is rising in India. So, but but that subject will not discuss today. That we can have a chat on our WhatsApp chat.
Sure, sir.
So today is Sunday. Everybody is waiting to end this session, and very yes, great. It was a great Sunday for new subject, and we'll have one more seminar. And Ramani, बोलो ना sir.
आनंद जी, भदौरिया जी ने जो एक पॉइंट उठाया कि हम एक्सपोर्ट क्यों नहीं करते हैं, तो सर बहुत लोग यहाँ पे एक्सपोर्ट इसलिए नहीं करते हैं क्योंकि उनको मालूम नहीं है कि एक्सपोर्ट करना कैसे है।
तो भादुरिया जी को मैं लीड करने को बोलेंगे एक सेमिनार में, हाउ टू एक्सपोर्ट।
No issues. I'll start from 92 when no internet was there. We are exporting since 92.
So should we have a next seminar about how to export?
Yes.
Not an issue. Lot of people will be interested.
So now next Sunday, see, actually there was some other seminar by Ramani ji, but that we can postpone. Now next Sunday, Bhaduria ji, you are free for at 11 o'clock?
Yeah. I'm free.
I declare that seminar now only, how to export out of India, and it will be a total seminar will be by Bhaduria ji of PowerMat. Right, sir?
Maybe some other persons who are exporting?
No. We don't want anybody. We want only Bhaduria ji.
Okay.
Others will support you. Okay. So that is final. And before ending and going to Sudhir, Ramani ji, can you tell 1 minute about your 3 sessions?
Okay. So in the interest of sharing one's learnings for panel builders and entrepreneurs in general, I was thinking of condensing the various aspects of what I have learned in the course of my journey in entrepreneurship into 3 categories. The first category is about the importance of understanding the why, the what, and the how of what we need to be doing in business. I feel that this is it's a very important subject by itself, and unless and until we understand why we are in the business, what business we want to get into, and how we are going to go about it, progressing, it will have its own impediments. The second topic which I was discussing with Anand was the foundation of good execution. And when we talk in terms of the strategy, the systems, and the team, how do we bring these things together in the gamut of our individual businesses? And the third aspect of what was proposed is forming winning habits and disciplines. So what are the winning habits and disciplines which we must develop within ourselves as entrepreneurs? And this is not only with respect to the cash flow, but also in terms of interacting with your senior leaders and the team at large, in terms of how you manage the constraints in the business, how you be inventive and focus on R&D in a very focused manner, which is very, very important in the area of where your passion lies, and also making continual learning way of working in your individual businesses. So 3 slots. The first one is understanding the why, what, and how. Second is the foundation of good execution. And third is forming winning habits and disciplines in business.
So thank you. See, these will be 3 different topics for 3 different sessions after Bahaduraji's session in next consecutive Sundays. Okay, is it okay, Ramniji?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, good. So now over to Sudhir again. Sudhir, please.
Excuse me, Satish bhai hai unko thoda.
Satish sir. Satish.
तो थे तो सही.
नहीं सतीश सर को मत प्रेशराइज कीजिए. He is not in I think he's not in the position to speak.
No, I'm in a position not only to speak but shout.
Thanks.
Show your videos.
Can I take 2 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Sudhir, I'm sure you are going to do a good job of vote of thanks. But as people have been calling me Guru Varya and all that, I take liberty to say that Anand has competence, clarity, and confidence to get the right people to talk on these programs. Congratulations, Anand. Now, Sudhir, you can go ahead with your vote of thanks.
I think Anup has raised his hand. Can we give him an opportunity to talk?
Yes, please, Anurup. Unmute yourself first.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question is, सर ये जो मटेरियल स्टक होता है एफजी जो हम बनाते हैं और वो स्टक हो जाता है, इसके लिए रितेश सर ने कुछ पॉइंट्स बताए थे. नो क्रेडिट पॉलिसी, एलसी एंड बीजी टाइप, कि हम ऐसा कुछ करके कर सकते हैं. बट ऑलरेडी सर स्मॉल सिटीज के अंदर ये प्रॉब्लम आती ही है कि कोई प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हुआ और वो आपके यहाँ पे आपके एंड पे स्टक होके रह गया है 2 महीने, 1.5 महीने, 3 महीने, क्योंकि प्रोजेक्ट होल्ड हो गया है कहीं पे और. तो सर इस टाइप की प्रॉब्लम्स आई थिंक आप सभी को आती होगी वहां पे. हेलो.
हाँ, तो एक्चुअली
इसका कैसे, मेरा सर ये पॉइंट था कि इसको कैसे ओवरकम करें, इसके ऊपर कोई सॉल्यूशंस, एक्सपीरियंसेस कोई शेयर करना चाहते हैं तो बताएं सर.
No, you see, basically it is a very big subject of a complete seminar of 1 hour. So I will suggest Anurup, you should lead that particular seminar, okay, of this specific problem, okay, and we'll have a complete discussion, public discussion, and remedies of this particular thing, and what are the exactly problems we are coming out with. So we reserve this particular seminar, complete 1 hour seminar on these particular financial issues. What do you say, Anurup? What do you, क्योंकि इसमें काफी ज़्यादा बोलना जरूरी है.
मेरा एक्सपीरियंस थोड़ा सा लिमिटेड है इसमें, बट यस देयर आर सम पॉइंट्स जिस पे मैं एड्रेस कर सकता हूं.
हाँ, तो उसे
और ये डायरेक्टली सर जो हमारा जो कोर ऑफ द सेमिनार था का वो फाइनेंशियल इश्यूज पे था कि हम उसको कैसे स्ट्रेंथन दे. बट ये एक ऐसा पॉइंट है सर जहाँ पे आपका पूरा प्लानिंग जो है वो गड़बड़ा जाता है. आप कोई भी स्ट्रेटेजी बनाए, अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट आपके यहाँ ही होल्ड हो गया है तो उसका बिल भी नहीं बनेगा, उसका बिल नहीं बनेगा तो आपका जो टर्म्स है, जो पेमेंट टर्म्स है, वो सब कोलैप्स कर जाते हैं सर. तो उसमें जो छोटी कंपनीज है उनको सर्वाइवल काफी प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है, और वहीं पे पेमेंट्स की भी प्रॉब्लम आने लगती है. आपको वेंडर्स की भी पेमेंट करना है, तो वहाँ थोड़ा सा कैश क्रंच होता है सर.
सर एक काम कर सकते हैं. हाँ, नहीं सुनो ना, अभी ये वेडनेसडे जाने के बाद नेक्स्ट वेडनेसडे 3 o'clock, आर यू फ्री?
3 o'clock
Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday.
सर मैं आपको बता दूंगा. वैसे तो 3 o'clock सर वर्किंग आवर्स में ही रहता है.
हाँ, वर्किंग आवर्स में चाहिए मुझे, क्योंकि दिस इज द स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम. Yeah, it is 30th March, 3 o'clock Wednesday.
Okay, sir. Okay.
That is the seminar finalized now, led by Anurup Atle, and he is going to address the problem, and many of the control panel manufacturers will suggest their solutions. and there will be definitely one solution out of all these things. So there are two seminars finalized today, one from Badhuria next Sunday, and then 30th March, Anurup Watle will address the problems of panels lying in their factories, and other peoples will have their experiences, and definitely there will be some solution out of it. And there are some questions about the profit percentages and all that things in control panels. So definitely that problems also will address, and we'll have some good message from Arrow Engineers also. Is being a top manufacturer. So again, I will repeat back
Yes.
to Sudhir sir. Sudhir?
Okay, thank you, Anand.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I would like to thank our President Sanjeev ji for giving a Cosma introduction. My great thanks to Ramni ji for his really motivational address today. He really raised a very valid points. Like he started from issue of the panels. Sometimes no orders, sometimes excess orders, both are problematic. He addressed it on strategy, having a system, how to retain a talents. Most important thing, he talks on 2 C's, competency and commitment. That's really great. He also spoke on cash management, inventory management, and how do we improve the profitability. Thank you, Ramni ji, for your today's address, and I really like to congratulate, and I would like to attend your next 3 sessions which you have scheduled. I would like to thank Mr. Ritesh Agrawala ji for really his excellent presentation, and I liked his idea of coming out with the product which do not have a price tag. That is something which everybody should attempt for this particular thing. I would also like to thank Mr. Anand Jayavant for really coming out with a very different topic, and that is a really need of today's. How do we come out with certain other independent vertical which is going to support this particular thing. I would also like to thank Mr. D.P. Goyal ji. I would like to thank our Chairman Emeritus Satish Bhai for participating in this session. Thank you, Satish Bhai. And I would like to thank all the participants who attended today's session. Thank you very much.
Badhuria ji also.
Yeah, Badhuria ji, उनका session report के लिए है. Are coming out with Anurup Atle also for his again new topic for a new seminar. So there are 2 different people are there. So definitely it is going well in the flow of control panel manufacturers. So I think we should conclude with this meeting today. Has already been lot of time taken out of this Sunday. So should we end the meeting? Should we conclude the meeting?
Yep.
To Vishal, and then he can end the meeting.
Yeah.
And for all, sir. And for all.
Yes. I am ending.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramji.
Thank you, sir.
Please attend next Sunday.
Next Sunday,
everyone.
please.